It's August 4th already. All I got to say is, wow. Sunday, I go to Bar None Baptist Church. Pastor Daniels um, preaches a pretty good message on it, but check it out. But I was talking to a good friend of mine that goes there, and she lost her dog. Her uh, dogs are and pets, cats, my cat too, uh, become a very strong part of the family. And pray for her. Dog's name was Ryder, 11 years old, lived a good life, but just keep her thoughts. Her name's Stephanie, in your prayers. And I came home after church and talking to her for a bit, and my cat was really lethargic, and but she's on a she's back in full thing. But life is so short for both pets and for humans, and so many times when I'm out doing my door dashing that people pull out in front of me, and could be my last day, could be their last day, uh, and we have to remain to be kind. And one thing I've learned as a Christian, when you're a new Christian, you want to tell everybody how to live sometimes. Not for everybody, but you can get caught up in that. You know, the life is better living for God, and it takes some time sometimes to find that balance and of just loving people wherever they're at. And if they're cursing like a sailor, it's not our job to tell them not to curse. Now, if they're cursing at us, that's a different story. But still, um, and whatnot. But I thank God for every breath I take here, and I think about what's coming next a lot. I don't know if it's morbid or not to think about death as much as I do, but I think about it a lot. And there's going to be a day I'm not here, but I'll be in heaven. And there's so many mysteries up in heaven when um, we th- we think about how good we can have it down here serving God, how much more that it's going to be incredible serving God and and being in heaven. And folks, for those loved ones that are passed, if they're in heaven, why not join them? And I hope to see all the loving pets that I've had before, and I like playing the game of pool and shooting hoops. Hopefully, there's that up there too. I'll probably be able to dunk on a 20-foot rim up there. But anyways, just some ideas. But we're going to get reading here. Second Samuel. I normally read in the mornings, or I normally skip it, procrastinate, and that's why we're this late in the year, and I got some catching up to do. I was wondering why that sound is Kitty drinking some water. She's eating and drinking good. That's a good sign. Chapter 4. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. I want to pause for a second. I want to give a shout out to Randy, who is a former co-worker friend um, at Perkins. He's done door dashing as well, and saw him today when I picked up an order, and he says he checks out this site. So, hey, I'll have to keep at it. And, all right. Chapter 4, I'll start over. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. And Saul's son had two men that were captains of bands. The name of the one was Baanah, and the name of the other Rishab. The sons of Rimmon, a Beerothite, of the children of Benjamin, for Beeroth also was reckoned to Benjamin. And the Beerothites fled to Gittaim, and were sojourners there unto this day. And Jonathan's sons, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet. He was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out of Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And it came to pass that she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame. And his name was Mephibosheth. And the sons of Rimmon, the Beerothite, Rishab, and Baanah went and came about the heat of the day to the house of Ishbosheth, who lay on a bed at noon. And they came thither into the midst of the house, as though they would have fetched wheat, and they smote him under the fifth rib. I'm going to pause for a second. That's multiple times. It's under the fifth rib. I wonder what the significance of that. Maybe that's where the heart's at. And Reshab and Baanah, his brother, escaped. Verse 7 of chapter 4. For when they came into the house, he lay on his bed in his bedchamber, and they smote him and slew him and beheaded him and took his head and got them away through the plain all night. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth unto David to Hebron, and said to the king, Behold, the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, thine enemy, which sought thy life. And the Lord hath avenged my lord the king this day of Saul and of his seed. And David answered Reshab and Baanah his brother. I've read the Bible before, but I don't remember a lot. Before I turn the page, I'm going to think that David's going to be mad at them. We'll find out. The sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, and said unto them, As the Lord liveth, who hath redeemed my soul out of all adversity? When one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him and slew him in Ziklag, who thought that I would have given him a reward for his tidings. How much more, when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed? Shall I not therefore now require his blood of your hand, and take you away from the earth? And David commanded his young men, and they slew them, and cut off their hands and their feet, and hanged them up over the pool of Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. Chapter 5. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Also in time past, when Saul was king over us, thou wast he that led us out and brought us in Israel. And the Lord said to thee, Thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be a captain over Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king of Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord. And they anointed David king over Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months. In Jerusalem he reigned 30 and 3 years over Israel and Judah. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto David, saying, Except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking, David cannot come in hither. Nevertheless, David took strong hold of Zion, the same as the city of David. And David said on that day, Whosoever getteth up to the gutter, and smiteth the Jebusites, and the lame, and the blind, that are hated of David's soul, he shall be chief and captain. Wherefore they said, The blind and the lame shall not come into the house. So David dwelt in the fort, and he called it the city of David. And David built round about from Milo and inward. And David went on and grew great, and the Lord God of hosts was with him. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons, and they built David an house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron. And there were yet sons and daughters born to David. And these be the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shemua, and Shobab, and Nathan, and Solomon, Ibhar also, and Elishua, and Nepheg, and Japhia, and Elishama, and Eliada, and Eliphalet. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David. And David heard of it and went down to the hold. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into mine hand? And the Lord said unto David, Go up, for I will doubtless deliver the Philistines into thine hand. And David came to Baal-perazim, and David smote them there, and said, The Lord hath broken forth upon mine enemies before me, as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal-perazim. And there they left their images, and David and his men burned them. And the Philistines came up yet again, and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, Thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come upon them over against the mulberry trees, and let it be. When thou hearest the sound of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then thou shalt bestir. Bestir thyself, for then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did so as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until thou come to Gazer. That's the end of reading of chapter 5. I just want to take a second and thank God for this little nice cool breeze that we have at night. We have had a very hot stretch where things were touching 100 degrees here. Can't imagine living in Phoenix, but God bless you folks that love it. That's right. Chapter 6. Again David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Baal of Judah to bring up from thence the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth between the cherubims. And they set the ark of God upon a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Amminadab, that was in Gibeah, and Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drave the new cart. And they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Gibeon, accompanying the ark of God, and Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even on harps, and on psalteries, and on timbrels, and on cornets, and on cymbals. Did I say cymbals twice? Timbrels, and on cornets, and on cymbals. Verse 6. And when they came to Nashon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God, and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error. And there he died by the ark of God. And David was displeased, because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah. And he called the name of that place Perez Uzzah to this day. And David was afraid of the Lord that day, and said, How shall the ark of the Lord come to me? So David would not remove the ark of the Lord unto him into the city of David, but David carried it aside into the house of Obed Edom the Gittite. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obediah the Gittite 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obediah and all his household. And it was told King David, saying, The Lord hath blessed the house of Obediah, and all that pertaineth unto him, because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obediah into the city of David with gladness. And it was so that when they that bare the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings, and David danced before the Lord with all his might. And David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting, and with the sound of the trumpet. And as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of the Lord, and set it in his place in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. As soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to every one a cake of bread, and a good piece of flesh, and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, every one to his house. Then David returned to bless his household. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David, and said, How glorious was the king of Israel today, to uncover himself today. Cat distracted me here. Okay, back to 20. How glorious was the King of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself. And David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord which chose me before thy father, and before all of his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord. And I will yet be more vile than us, and will be base in mine own sight, and of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor. Therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child unto the day of her death. Folks, it's been a great day. God loves us so much. And we have no idea how important God is to us. Sometimes we take things for granted. God created us. He loves us. He wants the best for us. Folks, if you have never accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, please do not put it off another moment. In your own words, talk to God. Ask Him for forgiveness for the sins. We are all sinners, and we all come short of the glory of God. There may be people out there that have a bad experience in church. Well, guess what? A lot of Christians don't have it right. A lot make mistakes. We all do at different times. That's not against God. That may be a bad example for the moment. And you just have to remember we're humans too. There's a lot of things I've said and things done after I have been saved that I am ashamed of. Anger and whatnot. And we all battle the devil. The devil wants to trip us up every second he can, especially when you have a heart for God. The devil is going to tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that. Remember when you did this, when you did that. God forgives us, wipes the slate clean. He offers us a life of happiness and joy for those that serve Him and believe in Him. It'd be very interesting if we could actually, if God took us 2 days, let us spend 2 days in heaven and 2 days in hell, then bring us back to earth. I think it would take about 500 people to have that happen to change the whole world. But God is not going to force Himself on us. You want to look around. My hair's all messed up here, but sorry about that. Oh, that's a lot better. But look around. Look at nature. Would you just look at it? Just, I can't imagine what heaven's going to be like. And I want you to join there too. If you haven't accepted Jesus, why not just say yes to Jesus today? You're not going to be perfect. If you expect to be perfect after you're saved, you're going to be rudely awakened. And for us Christians that have been saved, we need to be more loving, be more into the Word. I'm talking to myself here. Praying. Just love one another. We all have, we have a lot of struggles in this world. There's a lot of challenges. It's hard to have a job when you're a Christian and there's people talking to you so rude, so hateful. We live in a world that is influenced by the devil greatly, greatly. Know that, and let's all get to heaven, shall we? You have a great day. I love you.